Meet Steve Keil. He's an international speaker, entrepreneurship teacher, modern day maverick, and founder of numerous startups. Steve Keil is currently a mentor for startups. He's a founder of Mammoth DB, which was subsequently acquired by MariaDB. He was a CEO of Sciant and Xentio. He was also a teaching professor at the American University in Bulgaria and at the Sofia University. Steve made a thought-provoking TED Talk 9 years ago, called A Manifesto for Play. He wanted to start a revolution in the way Bulgarians think and behave. For him, our operating system was broken. We could not live up to our full potential because we had forgotten the value of play. According to Steve, we had forgotten the value of play in 3 main areas. We used to devalue play in our social environment. Our historic background, and more specifically, 35 years of communism, played a role in the way we perceive play. Communism valued the society and the state over the individual, thus inadvertently squashing creativity, self-expression, and innovation. Communism taught us to be serious. We used to devalue play in our education. We had an antiquated educational system that valued memorization, standardization, and devalued creativity, self-exploration, questioning, and play. We used to devalue play in our workplace. Bulgarian employees were untrusted, restricted, and controlled. In his TED Talk, Steve argued that human brains are wired for play. Play promotes creativity, productivity, and self-fulfillment. Ultimately, play creates meaning. We invited Steve for a chat in the legal garage and asked him, "Did anything change for the past 9 years?" And this is Steve Keil.
Hi, Ellie.
He's our very special guest, and today we'll be discussing some really cool questions. So, Steve, you made a really interesting and thought-provoking TED Talk 9 years ago about how Bulgarians value seriousness and devalue play, both in their personal life and in their work life. Do you think that something has changed for the last 9 years?
Thankfully, yes. There's been a lot of progress. I mean, part of that, I think, was driven by the IT industry, because the IT industry is hyper competitive and catches on the memes from other countries very quickly. And so workplace changes that happened in other countries, whether it's companies like Valve or whatever, come here quickly because of the sort of nature of trying to attract employees and be up to speed and all these things. And then that filters out to other companies, because everybody that sort of infects that meme of change then wants to be in that operating system, right, and working like that. And if they leave from one company to another, they take that meme or that operating system with them. And I've seen a lot of change. And if you think about it, the company I was working at 9 years ago when I did that talk has since been sold to another company, and all 280 people have either taken that meme there, but actually probably 50% of them have left, have started new companies, have gone to other companies. Some of those companies were sold, and it just sort of spreads.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like a virus. It's COVID.
That's good, but
it's a COVID spread.
But it's the good version of COVID, yeah.
It's the good virus spread.
The good one.
It's good philosophy, not the bad philosophy we'll talk about later.
Okay, I'm really glad that you think that.
Absolutely.
That there's a change. Okay, but
and again, it spread out of IT, right? So I mean, it started in IT, I think, as a spearhead, but it has spread. I mean, you see so many companies since then starting up that are more hipster, more modern. Whether it's food, delivery, you name it. I mean.
Okay, but do you think that there's something that we should still work on?
You kidding? Never stop. Of course. I mean, it's like without challenges, we wouldn't grow. I think the Russian philosopher Xentio said that, or lots of philosophers have said that. But I mean, there's new things to work on, right? There's always something to work on. I would become complacent and lose our humanity.
Do you think that Bulgarians have a distinct business culture? And do you believe that there are differences when it comes to business culture in the different geographical regions?
Yes, right. I mean, the reason we have nations is because countries were born out of a shared set of culture in the beginning. So yes, I do think Bulgaria has a distinct culture. I mean, maybe not so distinct from other Eastern European cultures. I mean, we have our own peculiarities, but similar, right? But this region is similar. So yeah, we have a distinct culture. Is it different than the United States or Australia or the UK? Yes, I would say thankfully so. We have preserved some sort of our values, of our traditional values, I think more than the United States or Australia or the UK has, which have changed their value systems quite rapidly in the last 100 years. I think we still value, for example, emotions here. We still value freedom of expression and critical thinking here more so than in other cultures. And by value that, I also mean tolerate it, which I think is cool. And I mean, there's some other quirky things, perhaps, like we still grasp a little bit with failure, the difficulties of failure, compared to some regions of the United States or Australia. Australia has some issues with it as well. I mean, when we think America, you often think, okay, Silicon Valley, New York City, Austin, and Seattle is America, but that's not America. That's the techie lefty elite. Overall, I'm here for a reason, and it's because I love Bulgaria and I like our culture and our value system.
Okay, and do you think that if, for example, a manager has employees from different parts of the world and they have to create some sort of an organization and a teamwork culture, how can they manage these employees having different business and ethic culture? So
well, I mean, I guess Bulgarians, like if we're having to manage American employees, for example, we have to learn that they're very sensitive, right? They're all politically correct. So there are things like that. We're not very politically correct here. And if we say certain things, it's going to bother them. Yeah. So, I mean, there's things like that. The same thing with UK and Australian employees. I think we're more direct, monodirectno. We're less full sugar than others. More so, and we're more like, yeah, what's up, whatever. If we don't like somebody, we don't pretend to like you. There's this big distinct difference in the veneer of politeness. So if you were a Bulgarian manager of a distributed geo team, you probably have to be in tune with that. There's some things like matriarchal versus patriarchal. Like, if we're working with Netherlands teams, I think they're more matriarchal and they're more into distributed power control. Where here it's still more hierarchical. I would say much less so in tech, and it's changing, but in other industries, manufacturing and some of the others, it's slower to change. So there's difference there, but that's like classic Hofstadter stuff, right? Power distance and culture, and male versus female, or whatever it's called now, Zur. Just kidding. But it's, I don't know. I mean, shouldn't we celebrate that? Globalization's kind of pissing me off. I'm not sure about an afterlife. I'd like to think one, but I don't know. I'm not sure about it. So I am sure we're living now. We might as well make the most of it. Yeah.
This was some valuable thinking.
It's like carpe diem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good.
I feel like a lawyer now, bringing in some Latin.